Cheap Homesteading. I'm in the garage today and I'm going to work on my 08 Mazda B2300. The rear diff cover started to rot out. I started noticing there's oil coming down the outside of the cover, so it must have rotted through and it's coming out through the cover. And I thought, you know what, it's better if I change that now than the oil gets too low and I'll be changing a diff, which is no fun either. I called CarQuest and they ordered me up a Dorman aftermarket rear diff cover. It came in really quick. It's a Dorman 697-710 rear diff cover. And it seems pretty decently heavy. I was pretty happy with it. You never know what you get with some Chinese stuff, but that one seems good. I got them to order in some seals. And they're Timken, so they're pretty decent. The first thing you do is go out and check if you can remove your fill plug. I had a really hard time. It was seized in there really, really good. I had to use a punch and try to spin it loose, and I finally got it loose. It's really important to make sure that you take the fill plug out first. Make sure you can remove it before you take the oil out of the diff, or you won't be driving it until you get that plug out, because you won't be able to refill the differential. You make sure you remove the plug first, and then you're good to go. So here's the diff cover. It's starting to leak pretty good. There's a drip happening there. So I'm hoping we just caught it in time. I honestly don't know how long this thing's been leaking like this. So we'll start taking these screws off, and hopefully none of them are so seized that we break them off. That came out good. There you go. So we just have one more. There you go, the last one. Now you get the screwdriver in between the cover and the diff and just kind of pry it in. Wow, that oil hasn't been changed for a bit. At least there is a good amount of it in there though. I was kind of concerned that there wasn't going to be much oil in there. We're going to set this over here. I want to remove the axles, so what I need to do is remove this pin so I can get these clips out, and then I can pull the axles out. What we have to do is turn the carrier, and this is a standard, so if I put it in neutral and roll it over, it should turn. So if I hold this tire and I turn this one, the differential carrier will spin till this screw is on the outside. I hold both tires stationary and I should be able to loosen this pin. Oh man, that's always the way it goes. You drop it in the oil. That's really nice. We'll just get this out. It's probably a good idea to replace this bolt, but I really did forget to order one. So it's going back in because I need my truck this weekend. So you pull it out. I pull the pin out. And I'll set that in a clean place. So when you shove the axle in, there is a clip right here that you grab, and it's a horseshoe shaped clip, and that holds the axle in. And then you just pull the axle out, and it definitely looks like, you can definitely see that the seal is just starting to leak. The surface where the bearing runs feels pretty good, and the bearing looks okay. Okay, so we're just going to pop that seal out, put a new one in. You just get a pry bar, you get it under the lip, and just pop the seal out. Like that. I got some really fine grit sandpaper. We're going to clean up where the seal slides into the axle. I get a socket that's just a bit bigger than the outside diameter of the seal, so when you hammer in the seal, you can't hammer it in any farther than the edge of the housing. You don't want to hammer the seal in farther than the edge, you just want it flush. We're going to tap it in gently, make sure it goes in straight. So there you go, the seal's installed. Okay, I like putting just a little bit of gear lube or white grease on the sealing surface. Okay, so now we slide the axle back in. You gently push it and turn it. There you go, it's in. You put your clip back in and you shove your axle back out, and then you do the other side. There you go. Just wiggle and in. So now you stick it on the end of the axle, make sure it's in there, and then you shove it back into place. You get your pin, you slide it in. Sometimes you have to wiggle the carrier back and forth just a little bit. We're going to clean off the threads of the screw with some brake clean to get the oil off it. Put some Loctite on it and screw it in. It's tight. The gears have a little bit of wear on it, but I'm not really concerned. I think this thing's gonna go for a long time yet. You know what, it's approaching 300,000, so that's kind of what you expect to see on gears that's driven that far for sure. So now we're gonna scrape the old silicone off and put the new cover on. Spread it out nice. So your little magnet goes towards the bottom, and you just push your cover up here, and we'll put some screws in. Since I totally destroyed my fill plug, I found a 1/2-inch plug, and I think that's going to work really, really good. And I shouldn't run into the same problem. That's got a better head on it than the one before. I don't know why they put Allen heads in there. They just cause aggravation. So you want to fill it till it's just coming out of the hole. I leave it sit here for just a few minutes. And then I check it again, and if it's still coming out of the hole, it's all good. Because sometimes it needs a little bit of time to settle into the bearings and all the nooks and crannies. So the differential has been serviced. It is fully ready to go. It's another thing off the list. I really did let the truck go a little bit. A few more weekends of fixing odds and ends on the truck. I think the truck will be in some decent shape. But you know what? I really want to get this done before fall because I'm looking forward to running the chainsaw when the weather's a little bit cool. So that's about enough for today, and you guys have a good one.